and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are introducing the new Magic Holiday Messages and its coordinating dies, and we're also going to be introducing our brand new Magic Iris Snowflake add-on. And we are so excited about this video. It's a long one, but oh my goodness, there's a Magic Iris card, there's a shaker card, there's easy to reproduce cards, there's ways of using things in different ways. There's so much cool stuff, and we guys hope you love the video. Now the Magic Iris Snowflake add-on is of course a perfect add-on to the Magic Iris, but you can use it without the Magic Iris too, and we're going to be showing you all of these ideas in this video. First up, we're going to take a look at the Magic Holiday Messages, and here for our first one, it says Merry Christmas. Next up, we have Warm Winter Wishes, then Happy Holidays, then we have Deck the Halls, then Let It Snow, and Happy New Year. This set also has these cute little tiny icons that you can sprinkle around your cards. We have all these adorable little snowflakes in different shapes that create a really cool background. A tiny little Christmas tree in 2 different styles, which I just love that little stick Christmas tree. I think it's so cute. And then some holly in different styles, so in different directions so that you can use them around your sentiments. And then my favorite little holly, little berry bush here. So cute and so pretty. So now we're going to use our Copic markers to add some color to these. And there's lots of different fun ways to add color. Here I'm doing a very light color just over the lines for that Merry Christmas. From the Warm Winter Wishes, we'll do some basic blending there with one dark and one light marker just all over those little leaves. And then we'll do some similar things here with the Holly and Happy Holidays. So I'm going to color in the holly and then the letters. Sometimes I like to alternate the letters, red, green, or just do all green as it did in this case. Either way looks really cute with this. And then we're going to fill in those little holly berries with our red, and you'll see just how pretty that's going to look. Then we've got our Deck the Halls, and I'm going to color in all those holly berries there with red just to add just a little extra something. Of course, they look great stamped on their own too. You don't even have to add any color. For the Let It Snow, I'm just tracing it in a very light blue marker. And for the Happy New Year, I thought it'd be fun to do kind of a little bluey purple color, and then we're just going to add a little bit of turquoise. Just kind of a fun color combo for Happy New Year. Now, of course, these are really fun to color in with markers, but one of my other favorite ways to use these is to heat emboss them. And so we're going to be showing you how to do that in lots of different colors of heat embossing powder. And to do that, Miles is here to help me push all of those markers away because we're not going to need them. We're going to be doing some heat embossing. So we're going to be stamping in some clear embossing ink, and then we'll be sprinkling on embossing powder and heating it with the heat tool. Now, for these first ones, we're going to try some gold embossing powder. So there's all different colors of embossing powder. We have gold, we have silver, rose gold, clear, we have white, so many fun colors. But oh my gosh, this gold kind of has my heart. Look how beautiful those sentiments look. It's so elegant and so pretty. And then next up, we're going to do some embossing in silver. So we're going to do the Warm Winter Wishes here and Happy Holidays in a silver to see what that's going to look like, and we'll heat emboss that. Now, these little sentiments are perfect for the Magic Iris. They're sized exactly to go in there. But the coordinating die comes with the circle, so you can just use these as cute sentiments on your card with the little circle. You can stamp them on and layer them on top of snowflakes. There's so many cool ways, and we're going to be showing you a lot of those today. For the Happy New Year, I thought it would be fun to do some rose gold, which is so pretty. So we're going to sprinkle that over the Happy New Year. And then, of course, we'll heat up that embossing powder, and you can see just how pretty that kind of pinky gold color is. Then for our last Let It Snow, we are going to add some white heat embossing powder to that, and we're going to do an embossed resist technique. So what that means is when you heat emboss, it's going to resist any inking that you might do. So we'll add on that white powder and we'll heat it up, and then we're going to use some of that new Salvage Patina Distress Ink color. It's so pretty, and it kind of has this like icy turquoisey color I thought would be pretty with the Let It Snow. So I'm just going to take a blender brush and start in the center of the sentiment and blend my way out. And as you do that, you can see the sentiment almost appear as if it's magic. It's so pretty and so much fun. And I just love doing this. And you could do lots of fun kind of frosty colors from purples to blues to turquoises to grays. And I think any of them would be gorgeous with this sentiment. And then here is a look at all of these different embossed sentiments, and aren't they just beautiful? I love this. It's quick, simple, and easy, and it's going to add such a beautiful, elegant look to your cards. And then we're going to have a comparison between the two different ways we've used them. So with heat embossing or stamping them out just with some black ink and adding a little color with markers. Now we're going to take a look at the coordinating dies for Magic Holiday Messages, and you can use your wire snips to separate these, or you can bend them apart at the tabs. And now we're going to line these up with our die cut images. So that circle is a beautiful little stitch circle that's the exact perfect size for all of these sentiments. So you can line them up with any of the sentiment. It's going to die cut it with that beautiful stitched edge. We also have the dies to die cut all of those cute little icons in the set too. And here's a look at those awesome little circles with those cute sentiments ready to put on a card, and then those cute little icons that you can sprinkle about. And then here is a look at the ones that we heat embossed, die cut with that same coordinating die. And you can see once again, gorgeous and ready to put on a card. And then here is a little comparison once again between our heat embossing and our stamping and coloring. Both beautiful looks and both just awesome and perfect. Now here is a look at our Magic Iris Snowflake add-on. Of course, it has that beautiful add-on. It also die cuts that circle that comes from the die. So when you pass it through, you get a stitch circle and that beautiful stitched snowflake frame, just like that. And then here it also comes with this stitched snowflake. So this snowflake is beautiful and you can see that above. So when you die cut it, it doesn't cut, it just stitches. And I love putting those and sprinkling around my cards. It's so gorgeous. Now here's our Magic Iris add-on, and that layers perfectly with this Magic Iris Snowflake. So I love that you can put the two together, and of course we're going to be showing you a cute card with this as well. And then here you can see that you can layer that stitch circle perfectly in that Magic Iris opening. And then of course you can use this Magic Iris Snowflake on its own as well. So it's really cute with the interactive concept, and you can use it on its own too. And we're going to be showing you both ways in this video. The first card that we're going to make is a shaker card, and it is so gorgeous. We are recreating a card by Grace, and she created a rainbow background using these Distress Oxide colors, and oh my goodness, I never would have thought to do this, and it's so beautiful and perfect for Christmas. So we're going to be building up these colors, and I'm using some Bristol Smooth cardstock. It just makes the ink blending a little bit easier, especially since we're building all of these different colors up together. And so we're going to start with a little bit of the pink in the corner, and then we're going to keep working our way out in the rainbow. So there I'm going to bring in some of the orange, and then we'll go back and forth between the colors to make sure that there's a nice blend between each of them. I brought in a brighter pink there, so it's kind of lighter on the outside and then brighter towards the middle. Here is kind of a more bluey violet, and then we're going to take a more grapey violet kind of on top, and that's going to kind of dull out that grapey color but still make it really, really pretty. And so here we're going to blend a turquoise in, we're going to bring our yellow and then our green up in the corner. And you can see it looks a little bit messy, but don't worry. Keep going back and forth between the colors. And then the cool thing about the oxide inks is as they dry, they really get a lot softer. So right here, we're just going to kind of take a look, see, do I need to go back and forth between any of the colors? And there you can see I'm doing some blue, then some purple, some blue, purple, pink, purple, going back and forth until I like the blend. Then we're going to take a water bottle here with just some clean water in it, and I'm just going to spray that water onto the background. Not only does that give it kind of a magical feel, but I feel like it kind of covers up any of my blending that wasn't quite perfect, and it just makes it look really, really cool. Now, the next thing that Grace did for her card was some awesome stenciling. So I let this piece dry since I had wet it a lot with the water. Once it was all dry, we're going to take out this little station here. So you can just use some washi tape to hold your stencils down, but this one's kind of fun because it's got the magnets. So I like to put some tape runner on the back of my background just to hold it in place. And then we're going to take out our snowflake background stencils and our Yeti ink, which is a white pigment ink. And I'm going to layer that right on top of my background, and then we're going to hold it in place with those awesome little magnets. And then we're going to take a blender brush and we're going to blend that white pigment ink on. So there you can see we're just blending that ink on top. And what's going to be so beautiful about this white ink on top of this rainbow background is that you almost see the colors through the white ink just a little bit, and that's what makes it really pretty. And you'll see when we lift up the stencil just how cool that is. And then also, I don't know if you noticed, as we let that whole cardstock piece dry, it really got a lot lighter. The colors became more soft and more pastel. So there I'm building up that white ink, and then we're going to lift it up, and look at that. Isn't that pretty? So it's not that the colors shine through the white ink, but more that they kind of like glow around it, and it's so pretty. So this stencil is a two-step stencil, so we're going to layer the next part. That's so that you can do multicolor backgrounds, but in this case, we're just going to use the same white Yeti ink on the background, and we want this to be nice and subtle in the background of our shaker. Then we can lift up that stencil and look how pretty that is. Oh my goodness, I'm in love. All right, so I'm going to put this aside to let it dry, and we're going to start working on some of the other elements for the card. And we're going to do some white heat embossing with the magic holiday messages. And I'm going to show you a little trick that Megan from the design team taught me to get nice detail on vellum when heat embossing. So what we're going to do is use our Misty tool. We're going to ink it up with some clear embossing ink. We're going to press down really lightly, and then we're going to tap. That's so that you don't press down too hard because it's kind of a thicker ink. You want just enough of that ink on there. You don't want to smush it, and that tapping really helps. Now we can sprinkle on the embossing powder and look at that beautiful detail. Now the other trick, and you can't quite see it off camera there, but I'm heating it from behind, and that seems to help too. Once again on vellum that's a little bit slicker and that detailed image as well. So if you ever have trouble heat embossing on vellum, give that a try. Now right here I have that Magic Iris Snowflake add-on, and I went ahead and traced along the outside of that circle with a pencil. And the reason I'm doing this is because I wanted this vellum piece to be glued behind this snowflake. So I traced along the outside of the line, and then I'm going to cut along the inside of it so that it's big enough to go behind that circle, but it's not going to stick out. So this is a really nice way to get a piece that's going to fit perfectly behind your Magic Iris Snowflake. And I wanted to do that in this case because I wanted to be able to hide the adhesive that was gluing my vellum down. And I'm able to do that this way. If I had popped in that die cut circle, I would have had to have found a different way to glue it. And gluing vellum is always complicated. So this is a nice way to solve that. So you'll see by tracing along the outside of that circle and then cutting right along the inside of that edge, we have the perfect sized vellum circle, and then you can see that rainbow through it, and it's gorgeous. So this is the largest stitched rectangle frame, and then we're going to die cut another white Magic Iris Snowflake. And one thing Grace did was create these cool corner details for this frame. And so what we're going to do is we're going to line up our frame right with one of these snowflakes, and then we're going to use a pencil to make some marks to see exactly where we need to cut the perfect little snowflake half circle. Once we have those pencil lines in place, then we can just trim right along them, and that's going to give us this perfect little half circle shape that's going to fit behind our frame. And we're going to end up creating one of these for each of the corners. Now, as I went along creating these, once I had already kind of measured and seen where I needed to cut for the first one, I was able to just eyeball it and cut with my scissors without having to do those pencil marks again for the other ones. So we're going to add some glue along the very outside edges of that rounded piece, and then we're going to layer that right behind the frame, just like that. So we're just going to layer the frame on top, and I'm actually using my grid lines to help me line it up, and look how pretty that is. And now we can go ahead and repeat the same thing. So you'll see there I'm just eyeballing it now because I know to cut right along the edge of the snowflakes next to it. Then we'll add that glue, and then we're going to add them into each corner. And this is a really unique and fun way to get a different look out of your die. So all of a sudden we've changed this really cool circular snowflake die into this really cool corner element. So it's fun to take a look at your dies and see what else you could do with them. And now here you can see just how beautiful that's going to look over the rainbow background there, and then with that piece layered there. Now this would be a beautiful card as is, but Grace also turned this into a shaker, which made it that much more magical. So here we have an acetate piece that's 5.5 by 4.25, so the exact size of that frame. And we're going to take some 1/8 inch double-sided tape, and we're going to go all the way around that frame. And then we can peel up that liner paper, and then we're going to add the acetate right to the back of that whole frame that we created. And that's going to create our shaker window. Once we have our window done, we need to start creating the well that all of our shaker pieces are going to go into. So here I'm using some of this iCraft foam. I really like this stuff because you can cut it down and it's really tall too, so you don't need to double it up or anything. And I'm cutting it down into very thin strips, almost like 1/8 of an inch strips, and we're going to go all the way around the rectangle of that rainbow background that we created. Then we can use my favorite trick for shakers, which is the anti-static powder tool for embossing. I like putting that powder along the inside of the foam tape to make sure there's no excess stickiness along that inside edge. That little powder is going to stick to that and make just kind of de-tackify it, right? And it's not going to be sticky anymore, and our pieces are going to be able to move much more freely. So I'm just going to add some different sequins. I had some clear ones, some iridescent ones. I had some tiny little stars and other little gems, just things that were clear or iridescent. I know they look kind of silver there, but that's just the lighting in my room. And so we're just going to add those little things in there, and you can see just really, really pretty, and it still lets the rainbow shine through. So now we'll peel up the liner paper on those foam pieces, and then we can layer the frame right on top, and that's created our shaker mechanism. And now, of course, it's time to test it out, which is the most fun part. So we're going to shake this guy, and you can see all those little pieces are moving around. And then you'll add some liquid glue to the back of the snowflake. And I'm just adding it around that circle so that the glue is going to be hidden. And those other little snowflake pieces won't be tacked down, but that's okay. I kind of like that they have like a little bit of dimension. So I'm just holding that to make sure that it dries really well on that acetate piece. And then here is a standard size card base at 5.5 by 4.25, and we can layer the whole shaker mechanism on top. And now this card is done, and isn't it just beautiful? I love this rainbow color palette for a Christmas card, and then using that Magic Iris Snowflake add-on in a totally different way by creating corner pieces, and then heat embossing on vellum is so elegant and just so pretty for the holidays. And I just had so much fun creating this card. It's so cool and so pretty, and I would love to create one with all of the different sentiments in the Magic Holiday Messages set. Next up, we're going to be creating a Magic Iris interactive card using both the magic messages and also the Magic Iris Snowflake. So there's going to be a lot of magic in this card, and we are going to start off first with some Bristol Smooth cardstock to make sure our ink blending is going to go really well, and we're going to die cut that with the new stitched snowflake backdrop, which is just so pretty. Then we're going to die cut that again with the Magic Iris add-on. So we're just going to run that right through the die cut machine, and now we have a Magic Iris add-on that has a beautiful snowflake stitch detail to it. And we're going to add some inking to that. So we're going to start off with some tumbled glass ink, and we're going to have it go lighter in the center and then darker towards the outside. So you can see I'm going around that circle there, and then we're going to start building up more of the color. So next we're going to go into peacock feathers, and we're going to come from the outside this time, and then we're going to go back into that tumbled glass and build that up so that there's a nice blend between the two colors, which is looking really, really pretty. After that, we are going to take some faded jeans, and that's going to go along the outside edges. And I love the look of the faded jeans with the peacock feathers. So once again, we're going to go now in with the peacock feathers to blend those two. And then we'll add a little bit of chipped sapphire just to the outside edges so that there's a nice blend from light to dark. Next, to add a magical snowy detail, we are going to spray some clean water onto this backdrop, and then I always like to take a paper towel and just pick up that water, and you can see it's reacting with the ink and looking like a magical snow. And then, of course, we need some snow on it too. So I'm going to take out some Copic white ink. Any white acrylic paint would do. I'll take some and I'm going to mix it with some water and then tap my paintbrush to create tiny little snowflakes onto this card. And you can see it just kind of helps bring this whole background to life. Then the next thing we need to do is ink the stitch circle that's going to go on the inside of the Magic Iris. And so I've gone ahead and die cut that from some of that Bristol Smooth cardstock, and we're going to add some of the peacock feathers, faded jeans, and chipped sapphire. And this one we're going to make almost like a darker blue. So it's going to be really dark in the center, which is going to be really cool when we open up the Magic Iris. Then I'm not going to sprinkle any water or do any of the white on this because we're actually going to heat emboss on this piece. So I let it dry some before I did the heat embossing, but then I was still worried about it sticking. So I have this kind of heavy duty powder kind of like bag instead of that little powder tool I normally use, and a ton of powder comes out of it. But in this case, I thought it might be necessary because the ink was still a little bit wet. And so I went ahead and stamped the warm winter wishes on there, and we're going to heat emboss in white, but this time we're doing it over this beautiful inking. So I'm going to sprinkle over that embossing powder, and thank goodness that anti-static powder bag really came through here. So we're going to heat that up with the heat tool, and we're going to have this beautiful bright white shiny sentiment on that inked blue circle. Now, since this card is all about holiday magic, we are going to take out the winter fairies. These fairies are so very cute, so I went ahead and stamped, colored, and die cut these guys. And to make them even more magical, we're going to take out some of this Nouveau crystal drops in Blizzard, and we're just going to add that onto the fairies and then the little ruffles of their dresses. And today we are recreating a card by Megan that was it's just absolutely stunning. I'm so excited to make this card. It's so pretty. So thank you so much, Megan. And you'll see when you see Megan's card, her card is a normal card and mine is a magic iris. So it's really cool that you can take a design and turn it any which way. Now here you see I've cut a little snowbank using a stitched hillside border. And I'm going to take that same Nouveau drop and just go along the top of that stitched hillside just to bring all of that sparkle in from their little wings down into the snow. And you can see how gorgeous that is. Now it's time to work on the magic iris mechanism. So there's that beautiful add-on that we colored and decorated earlier. And then here are the magic iris die pieces. And we're going to start off first with the circles and then that kind of cool radioactive flux capacitor looking piece right there. And so we're going to be die cutting sausages, the stabilizers, the tabs, and that little decorative tab. And we're going to go over all of this. So here is one of those stitch circles, and we're going to take that flux capacitor radioactive looking piece and we're going to layer that right on top. Those circles are going to line up and we're going to run that through the die cut machine, and now we have a circle with those cool little openings in it. And then we're going to die cut 2 more circles that we're going to leave plain. Then we're going to die cut the sausages from some pixie dust sparkle cardstock, which is going to be so pretty, and we're going to fit each of those sausages in the openings that we created in that circle. So you see we're going to fit each one in, and the sausages have a curve along the inside, and of course this is the curve along the circle on the inside, and that's all going to line up. You'll see how perfectly that lines up together. We're going to take some mini glue dots and we're going to add them right onto these little X's that the die has created for us. And that is an X marks the spot. And the mini size of the glue dots is the size you're going to want to use for this. And if you've never made a magic iris before, make sure to check out our intro to magic iris video. We'll make sure to link it in the comments below. Now that we have our 3 glue dots on there, we're going to make sure that those sausages are lined up right on the inside of that ring. Then we can hold them in place and we're going to attach another one of the plain rings right on top, and it's going to be attached by those 3 glue dots. You'll see I'm just lining them up and then pressing down just like that. Then we're going to flip the ring over and we're going to be working with our stabilizer pieces. And so see, we'll flip the ring over and the die has created these little stitched lines there, and that's exactly where you're going to put your tape runner adhesive. So you'll see I'm finding the stitch line and then I'm just creating a little line of tape runner, and then we're going to line up these stabilizer pieces. And you'll see that the end of them are curved, and that's going to match up with the curve of the inside of the ring. And we're just going to line those right up with those little stitched rectangles that the die has created for us. Once we have these attached, we can go ahead and flip the mechanism over again, and now we're going to work on the tab. So we're going to add some adhesive about halfway down this tab, and you'll notice that this tab also has a curved edge. We're going to line that up with the inside of the ring, and then we're going to line it right up onto the edge to the right of one of the stabilizers, creating a little bit of a V shape. So you'll see that little V shape we've created between the stabilizer and the tab. Then we're going to take one of the magic iris rings there, and we're not going to put any adhesive on it. That one's just going to be floating right on top. And then we're going to add some adhesive onto those stabilizers, and we're going to wrap the stabilizers around in a nice gentle hug. You don't want them to be too tight, and you'll notice that when you wrap these around, they're not going to go all of the way to the inside edge of your ring, and that's good. That's exactly how you want it to look. And now you can start to move that tab, and you'll see that our magic iris is starting to work, which is so cool. Now I'm going to use this decorative tab, and I forgot to ink it up earlier. So I'm going to do the same inking with the peacock feathers, faded jeans, and chipped sapphire. And this one I'm going to make it one of the darker blue areas since it's going to be on the outside edge of my card. And then of course we're also going to spray some water onto it and then pick up that water with a paper towel just so that it blends in with the whole background that we created. We'll add some liquid glue onto that decorative tab, and then that's going to fit right over the tab on the magic iris. So that curve is going to line up right with the curve of the ring. And you'll see there's going to be a little bit of extra white there. You're just going to trim that off just like that with your scissors. And now we're going to have that beautiful custom tab that's needed to use this cool add-on. The next thing we're going to do is add some tape runner all the way to the top of the magic iris, only along the white ring there. We're not going to put any of where those glitter pieces are. And then we're going to just put that right on the mat, and then we're going to line up the whole thing, and we're going to stick that ring to the back of this magic iris add-on, just like that. Super, super cool, and you can see the magic iris is working. It's so cool. Now here is that awesome Magic Iris Snowflake add-on, and we've die cut it out of that same pixie dust cardstock that we die cut the sausage pieces out of, and we're going to add some liquid glue around the ring and then layer that onto the card. And now these two pieces coordinate, which looks really, really pretty. Now we're going to take out those cute little fairies that we did earlier. We added the glitter to, and we're also going to take some trees here from this beautiful Winter Village set. So die cut and stamped a bunch of those trees, and we're going to start to create a little scene along this snowbank. So we're going to add some little Christmas trees to either side, and then we're going to add one of those adorable little fairies right into the center of this snowbank. And then we're going to do something a little bit unique. So when I went to layer this whole snowbank with the fairy onto the card, all of a sudden I realized that it was going to really cover up a lot of my pretty snowflake. So I thought, you know what, why not make a custom-sized card? So I decided to just layer that fairy on exactly where she was going to look perfect on the card, which is just like that. And you're going to see when I flip this over, it's about 1/2 inch extra that I've added onto the bottom of the card, but that's totally okay. And I'm going to show you how we kind of are going to work with that. So I want to make my card base here out of this awesome polar Let It Shine snowflakes with that beautiful foil on it. And I'm going to measure this card right now and see, well, how long is this thing? And what it was about 5 3/4 long, and I want to have a 1/4 inch border. So I made this piece. It's 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And that's okay. I can put this card in a 5 by 7 envelope and it's going to fit perfectly, and it's going to be really cool. So now we're layering some foam squares on there, and you'll see that I layered foam squares all along that bottom. And I decided to double my foam squares up, and that's because those pixie dust sausages are a little bit thicker because that's thick cardstock, and I thought having the double foam might leave a little more room for this mechanism to work, and I thought, why not? So we added some double foam, and now we can layer this whole piece on our cool custom-sized card, which is really neat because it kind of gives a totally new look to that Magic Iris and Magic Iris add-on. Now, the next thing we need to do is layer that piece that we heat embossed towards the beginning of this card. And so I just like to tuck it right behind and add it on there just like that. So you can just tuck it right behind the Magic Iris and then just attach it down with some tape runner. And I find that way to be really easy because I know it's going to be in perfect placement. And now you can see how gorgeous this is looking. The next step is to start adding my cute little fairies onto this card to help finish up the scene. So we're going to layer them up into the sky, kind of surrounding the sentiment, which I think looks really pretty. And then we're also going to give them cute little fairy wands as well. So in my mind, it's kind of like they're using the fairy wands to make the Magic Iris magic happen, right? It's super cute and super fun. Wanted to bring a little more sparkle into this card. So I'm going to take those same Nouveau crystal drops, and I'm just going to add little drops of glitter all around the card. And so it's just going to help tie in the little snowbank at the bottom and the fairy's wings. And I mean, the more glitter, the better. We have the foiled cardstock in the background. We have the glitter cardstock. We have lots of fun sparkles. It's just so cool. Now here I'm cutting my custom card base. So it's starting off 6 1/4 by 8 1/2, and then I'm going to score at 4 1/4, and that's going to create that card base for me. And then I'll just add some tape runner to that, and then we're going to layer this whole panel onto that card base. And once again, I know I can either make a custom envelope or I can pop it in a 5 by 7 envelope, and it's going to be perfect. And then now this card is all done, and I mean, look how fun this is. So I'm going to pull the tab, and we'll have that Magic Iris open up into that beautiful sentiment. I love the surprise of going from that white glittered cardstock to the dark blue on the inside. I feel like it just makes it really, really special. Next up, Shari is going to take you through 2 gorgeous cards. The first one, she's going to use the Magic Iris Snowflake add-on along with our sunburst die, and it's so cool and so fun, and it's using it without the Magic Iris. And then she's going to show us how to use the Magic Holiday Messages as the sentiment of your card without the whole circle concept, which is really, really cool. So take it away, Shari.
I'm starting this card with some Let It Shine snowflake paper. This is going to be the background that I'm going to put my large snowflake in the center. I decided to go with this dark teal color with the little small snowflakes. I didn't want to use the foil ones because my snowflake is going to be foiled. And I'm cutting that out with the sunburst backdrop. So I get these fun stitching details and embossed line details. It also cuts out the center, which is where my sentiment will go. I'm using the Magic Iris Snowflake add-on, and I'm cutting that out of some holographic cardstock. So you get the shine of the snowflake. And I just think this is really pretty. And this die cuts these intricate pieces so well. Now I wanted to kind of stack this up and give it some height, so I'm also going to cut this snowflake just out of white cardstock a few times. That way I can stack these die cuts together and I get a really thick piece. So I've just put some glue all over one of those white ones and I'm layering my holographic one right on top. And then I also have this one that I haven't popped out all the white pieces in the inside of the snowflakes. A couple of them fell out, but I thought it would be cool to layer this behind, and then you get some white in some of those openings. So you can see it fell out of a couple of those, but I will add those back in once I get this on the card base. So I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue around so I can layer this as my final layer on the back of the snowflake. I like to use just little dots of glue at some major points and it will hold it together very well. So I'm just layering these two pieces that I'd already put together onto that back piece, and you can see those white pieces will show through the openings. I'm going to go ahead and put that background piece that I created from the pattern paper onto a card base. So I've just put adhesive all over and I'm just lining that up. And then for the sentiment, I'm using the Magic Holiday Messages. I'm using this one that says Merry Christmas. And I actually cut out a white circle. This is one of the white circles from my snowflakes I cut earlier. I'm using this so that I get that fun stitching detail around that circle. You could also stamp it directly onto the card base. I'm using chili pepper ink, so I'm going to get that really bright red sentiment. And then this will just pop in the hole. Like I said, you could stamp it right on the card base, but I like that extra detail of that stitching around the circle on the inside as well. So I've just added a little bit of liquid glue and I will drop that in that hole. Make sure it is nice and straight. And then now I can add that die cut snowflake. So I've just added some dots of glue to the back of it as well, just like I did before when I was stacking them. And I can line that up with that opening in that pattern paper background. Now, like I said before, I do want to fill in these few that fell out. So I'm just putting a dot of glue in there. I kept my little pieces and I'm just dropping those into those holes so you get solid white behind all these snowflakes. I also wanted to add a little bit more to the background, so I'm going to use this little star die. And you can see I keep a little tray of all my stars that I've cut out. These are cut from some pixie dust cardstock, so you get that added size, a little bit bigger than the snowflakes in the background, and then you also get a little bit of glitter from the cardstock. And then finally, I thought it needed just a little more pop of color, so I cut one of these stitch frames from some chili pepper cardstock, just putting a little bit of liquid glue all the way around it, and then I'll just line that up. It's going to frame this up really nicely and really bring out that red sentiment in the center. And of course, you can never have too much glitter, so I'm using some silver stickles to go over those little dots on the sentiment, and then also some stardust stickles to go over those little lines, just to kind of give this sentiment a couple different colors so it's not so flat. And here is that finished card. I love that holographic snowflake. It is just so pretty. So I'm starting out by creating the background of my card with a piece of Bristol cardstock and some distress inks. This piece is cut to 4¼ by 5½, so it's going to cover the whole card base. And I'm starting out with the lightest of my three colors, which is Salvage Patina. And I'm just putting a good layer kind of all over the card. Now at the bottom I'm going to put some snow, so it doesn't really matter if I have my ink all the way to the bottom. But then I'll come in with my second color. This is a little bit darker. This is Peacock Feathers. And I'm just pulling it in from the top and the corners. So I'm making kind of a semicircle shape with the ink there. And then I'll go back in with the Salvage Patina and blend it out so that the line between the two colors is a little more seamless. So back and forth between the two colors till I get it the way I want it. And then for my third color, I'm using Blueprint Sketch. And I've just got a piece of paper here to protect my paper from any fingerprints from my hand. And I'm using my blending brush on this one so I get a little bit less ink. It doesn't apply quite as heavy as it does with the foam ink blending tools. And I'm just pulling that in again from the edges and the corners so I get kind of a halo of dark color around. I went back in with the Peacock Feathers blending tool to blend out between the two, and I'm just going back and forth until I get the look that I want for my sky. For the snow at the bottom of my scene, I'm using a piece of pixie dust glitter cardstock, and I'm just placing my images that are from the Penguin Party stamp set. I've already colored and cut them out with the coordinating dies. I'm just placing them so I can figure out how high I need to cut my stitched hillside for the top of my snowbank. So once I have that in place, I can just tape that down and run it through my die cut machine. Now for this sentiment, I'm using one of the Magic Holiday Messages. These fit perfectly in a circle, but they also look really good on a scene like this. So I'm just lining this up in my Misty. I'm going to stamp this right onto that background that I inked, and I'm going to be stamping this with some Blue Jay ink. This really dark blue ink is going to show up really well on this background, but I like that it also coordinates with the blues of that sky. Now I've used the coordinating die that goes with the Magic Holiday Messages just to cut out a piece of scrap paper. I'm just going to lay this right over top of that sentiment that I stamped. This is just going to act as a mask to protect it while I add some paint splatters to the sky for some snow. So I have my metallic watercolors. I'm using the white metallic one to add a bunch of splatters to the sky. And this will keep any of those splatters from getting on my sentiment, causing the ink to run, or, just blocking it because these are opaque colors. I'm also adding just some plain white watercolor. So I like the look of the metallic with the bright white. So you get some texture with the two different colors, and I'm also flicking it off the block so I get some really tiny splatters of this white. So once I get that snow the way I like it, I'm just going to pick up that circle, and then my sentiment area is all nice and clean. There are also some individual snowflake stamps in the Magic Holiday Messages set, and I'm just going to stamp those around in that same Blue Jay ink just to fill the sky a little bit. There's 3 different sizes, so they're just fun to kind of sprinkle around, fill the sky, and they match that sentiment so well with that same colored ink. I'm going to go ahead and put this onto a card base now that it's kind of all stamped out and pretty, and then I can start to add my little scene along the bottom. I've added some foam tape all to the back of that piece of glitter cardstock. That is my snow, and I'm just going to line that up on the bottom so it's popped up from that background. And I'm also going to add some foam to my images that are going to be this background too. So I need to add some foam to the top of my igloo. I put a little bit of liquid glue on the bottom where it's going to sit on that snow. And I'm just putting that right at the top of the hill. I also have these cute little hearts that can come out of the chimney, but I'll just glue those directly to the background. Then I have my cute little penguins. I'm just going to place them kind of where I want them, figure out their arrangement, and that'll kind of give me a clue as to what I need to pop up on foam and what I can glue directly to the snow. I'm popping up that little heart that goes between them. And then this guy, because his head is above the snow, I've put a foam square on his head. I'm going to add a little thin foam square to this cute little baby penguin, just so he can kind of look like he's in the front of mom and dad. And then for the mom here, I can just add some liquid glue and put her directly onto that snow and that igloo. And then to add some sparkle to my little hearts and some accents to my igloo, I'm using some stardust stickles. So I'm adding those to the hearts, and then I traced the lines of the igloo with that stardust stickles. And I think it looks kind of cool, almost like the snow is settled on the joints between the ice bricks of the igloo. I just think that's kind of fun. And I added a little bit to the chimney as well. And then here is my finished card. I just think it is so sweet. I love that sentiment floating up in the sky and this shimmery, snowy background.
Oh my goodness, Shari, I love both of these cards and how beautiful and shiny and sparkly they are. Just gorgeous. And next up, we're going to be working on a mass production idea. So a lot of times we're making a lot of Christmas cards for a lot of people, and so this idea is really perfect for that. And here I have some black cardstock, and I'm prepping it with an anti-static powder tool. We're going to stamp in some clear embossing ink, and then we're going to add on some white heat embossing powder. Then after we sprinkle on our white heat embossing powder, we're going to heat it up with the heat tool. Now you'll notice here I'm doing 2 of the sentiments at a time. I didn't want my ink to dry in between, so I did 1 or 2 at a time just to make sure. And then we're going to, once again, stamp it in the clear embossing ink, add our white heat embossing powder, and then heat it up with the heat tool. And we're going to continue to do that with all 6 sentiments in the Magic Holiday Messages set. And right now we are recreating some cards by Tammy, and I just thought this was just the cutest idea. So much fun and so adorable. So here we've got our Let It Snow and the Happy New Year, and once again we're going to add the white heat embossing powder on the black cardstock. And I like this kind of like chalkboard feel to these. I think it's really fun. I love like writing on chalkboards during the holidays, and this is just a really cute idea. Now here we're going to be using the coordinating die that comes in the set for the Magic Holiday Messages, which is that perfect little stitch circle, and we're going to die cut each of these sentiments. Then we're going to take our Magic Iris Snowflake add-on, and we're going to die cut that out of some white cardstock, and we're going to die cut that 6 times as well, because we're going to be making 6 different cards all at once, because they're all going to have the same idea, just different sentiments and different colors. Then here you can see how each of those is going to fit so beautifully in the Magic Iris Snowflake add-ons. And this just shows how beautiful and fun it is to use this die without the Magic Iris too. Now here is that Let It Shine Snowflakes paper, and we're going to take out the foil paper in all 6 of the colors in the collection. So I love that there's 6 sentiments and there's 6 different colors in the collection. So that's just so perfect. So I'm going to take out all of those beautiful colors with that beautiful shiny foil, and we're going to be die cutting that with a stitched square die. And so we're going to die cut each of these, and we're going to have this beautiful stitch detail. To make this even faster, you could just trim them down with your paper trimmer as well. We're going to trim down some white cardstock into card bases that are going to be 4 1/4 inches square. So we're going to have 6 of those card bases. Card bases are going to match perfectly with our 4-inch stitch squares that we die cut. Now here we have that snowflake add-on. I'm adding glue only to the back of the circle because that makes it really easy to add the glue and very quick for mass production, and it still looks really nice because I kind of like when the snowflakes are kind of almost a little dimensional onto the card. The other thing I like about this design is using a grid mat makes it really easy to line up because you can line up the points of the snowflake to the lines on your grid mat, and it's going to make it perfectly centered each time, and I love that because you don't really have to think about it. You could turn out a holiday movie and get your Christmas cards done. So here you'll see that we have 6 cards in different colors with the snowflakes on them, and now we're going to add our sentiments each one. And I really love doing this because it's fun to pick which sentiment goes in each circle. And I'm going to add those on with some liquid glue as well. And you can just drop that right into the center of the snowflake because all of these dies are meant to work together. So the die for the Magic Holiday Messages, that circle is going to fit inside the different Magic Iris items like this Magic Iris Snowflake add-on. And so here we're going to add all of these cute little sentiments right in there, and I love that chalkboard look with the foiled paper and then the white snowflake. It's so pretty and so much fun. Then the last step for this is going to be to add all of these onto the card bases. And I really like to do that with tape runner. And you'll see that I've done each step in a row. And I find that makes it really easy for mass production cards. So if I'm going to heat emboss, I'm going to do all the heat embossing at once. I'm going to do all the die cutting at once. I'm going to do all the paper trimming, then all the scoring, etc. And so I'm just going to repeat things in that manner. I kind of think that takes the thought out of it. It makes it so that I can do it while I'm watching TV because I'm just repeating the same activity over and over again. And then I feel like I get really fast at it because I am repeating that same thing. So in this case, I've done 6 cards, but I could have easily done 50 cards in this manner by just repeating each of the steps all in a row. And you can see just how cute and pretty these simple little cards are turning out. And so here is a look at them, and that foil, I can't tell you, it is so pretty in person. It's a little hard to capture on camera sometimes, but it's just gorgeous and it makes a simple card really, really special. I just love that there are so many cool and different ways to use these products together in really complicated interactives to really cute and simple, easy to make cards like these. And next up, I am just going to blow you guys away because these cards blow me away. These design team cards are amazing. And first up, we have the card by Megan that inspired me to make my magic iris today. And here you can see this is a version that's not a magic iris. So it's really cool that you can take card designs and mix and match them with different interactives or not. Now here is that rainbow shaker by Grace that inspired me to make mine. Oh my gosh, so stunning. And then wait till you see what she did next. She did that same rainbow coloring, but she did it on top of the foiled paper, the white one that's called Polar. Isn't that gorgeous? I cannot wait to do this. You can ink blend right on top of that paper and create the most gorgeous look. And you can use that same colors that we used earlier in the video. Right here, we have a gorgeous Magic Iris card by Mindy, and as you pull the tab on the Magic Iris, you're going to get the surprise of a cute penguin party penguin on the inside with an adorable little sentiment. This card is so fun and cute, and I want to make one just like it. And then Mindy went elegant instead of cute with her card, and look at this beautiful shaker. She has that awesome Let It Snow on there, and as you shake it around, you can see the beautiful glitter and sequins everywhere. I just love it. Next up, we have those really cute cards by Tammy, and here you'll see that she added an adorable little critter to each one of the cards, and that's a way to step these up so beautiful and so fun. Thank you so much, Tammy. And then here's a little card that Rebecca and I did, super cute and simple, using the Tiny Winter Friends, which are a perfect match for these products. Lise has me singing Christmas carols with this card. I love that she used 3 different colors of cardstock and white heat embossing and the coordinating dies that go along with Magic Holiday Message to make the sweetest card. Letitia's bold rainbow background just makes me smile, and it looks absolutely gorgeous with that foil paper in the background. So happy and so fun. And then this card by Melissa is so sweet. I love that she used the simple stripes die and that she got that red and green alternating of that classic Christmas color combo. Here, Elena, oh my goodness, she used those little snowflakes to create scenes for the Tiny Winter Friends on a card. So cute and so much fun. By combining silver heat embossing, holographic cardstock, and our beautiful foiled papers, Lynette has created such a gorgeous and stunning sparkly card that I just adore. And then this card by Ardrey is so much fun. I love her ink blending and how it just blends out into nothing along the edges. So pretty and so adorable, and we cannot wait to see what you guys create with these new products, so make sure to share them with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!